Hello, and welcome to Pressing Buttons. Another great week, another great episode coming at you. I'm Hugo,
I'm Nick.
and we're here again, baby. We are back in the studio, 2023.
Live and direct.
Yeah, 2023, like we said last year. Last week and last year. It's gonna be a
No,
great
that
year.
was this year.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great, it's gonna be a great year for us because we always start right.
Fresh lighting.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope you guys can see this at home. Leave some good reviews. Lighting had been an issue, but we're getting it better. We're getting it corrected.
It's still an issue, but it's an improvement,
Yeah. But,
in my opinion.
if everything's perfect, you have nothing to work on and your job is done. But our job is never done. But yeah, light week for video game news this week. So we wanted to I know last week we did our first half of 2023 most anticipated games. We wanted to do a kind of state of the game for 2023 in a sense for the consoles. So we want to do something on Microsoft, something on Sony, and then something on Nintendo and PC as well to kind of give everybody an idea of what our thoughts are going into 2023, where their standing is, and what we would want to see out of them for the new year, and what you guys would probably want to see out of them for the new year to kind of give you hope that you're going to get something good this year. So there you go. That's going to be our first topic. We're going to do the state of the game for 2023, and we're going to start off with Sony. So on our notes here, we got that Sony's leading the charge. Obviously, Sony's been in the top spot for the last couple of years with the launch of the PlayStation 5, even though there was a very low supply. They're working on it this year where they're back to normal levels. They said that there's going to be enough supply for everybody. They've always had very high AAA first-party games coming out. Obviously, last year you had God of War and Horizon, and always strong support from third-party AAA games like Elden Ring and Call of Duty and such and such. So main thought going into 2023, how can Sony keep this momentum going? And are they okay with getting comfortable and not worrying about too much about Microsoft, who in terms of demographic is their main competitor? I'll start off with saying I think they can keep the momentum. Obviously, this year we have a lot of unreleased titles that don't have dates, but you do have some titles that do have solid dates. First party wise, we have Spider-Man 2 coming out towards the end of the year from what they've been saying. Hopefully they stick to that. And then in the third party side, we have strong titles from Square Enix like Final Fantasy 16 coming out in the summer. And then we also have the remake part 2 for Final Fantasy 7 coming out at the end of the year, hopefully around December. They also have some Last of Us multiplayer that should be coming out. Hopefully it comes out this year. I'm really excited for that. They're kind of keeping quiet about it because they don't want to announce something too early. Stellar Blade, which they're publishing, and the PSVR 2, which is coming out next month. So on my end, I think they could keep the momentum. Obviously, you never want to get too comfortable, and you want to strive to be innovative and push the boundaries, and also keep your customers and fans happy, and letting them know that you're working on a lot of stuff. And competition kind of drives that. So I think they can get comfortable, but they shouldn't. What about you?
Yeah, I think they're we'll get into the other ones when we talk about Microsoft and Nintendo, but when you go through the list of like exclusive titles coming out for each of those consoles, it's like PlayStation is absolutely destroying the other ones. So Spider-Man 2, Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7 remake part 2. I think it's Rebirth. Right.
I always forget Rebirth,
Reborn. Too many re's.
Yeah.
But whatever they call it, those 3 titles are probably. I need to figure out what the other remaining 7 titles are, but those are very comfortably in my top 10 most anticipated titles for the year, if not like a top 5. I think they're doing well in terms of exclusive games. I think with the Square Enix ones might end up being like timed exclusives, but because I'm wildly impatient and really like those games, I'm gonna buy them on PlayStation. I think they have a ton of stuff that I'm very excited about coming out this year. I think they're the only ones that are going to have a meaningful hardware release this year as well. So with PlayStation VR 2, in prior episodes, we've talked about, at least from my perspective, I have mixed mixed feelings on that, where on one hand, I'm ready for a new VR headset, but on the other hand, I just haven't seen enough software on that device to get me excited. So my hope is throughout the year, maybe more stuff gets announced that gets me a little bit more excited, and maybe I make a purchase. Certainly not at launch, but maybe throughout the year, there's something that gets me excited there. So I think that's probably probably about it.
And you can also kind of say there's for certain studios, obviously Sucker Punch, we don't know what they're working on yet, but we know they're working on something. Insomniac, besides Spider-Man, they're also working on a Wolverine game. Naughty Dog is working on another unannounced title besides the Last of Us multiplayer. So they also have enough of that mystery where that they're working on stuff, and they're going to be showing it throughout the year, because they always do kind of a good job of doing these events where they can show the future of what they're working on. That gets everybody really hyped. So I feel like, they definitely got the momentum coming into 2023, and they're going to keep it throughout the year and even into 2024, as long as they don't muck it up and just do something stupid.
yeah. I think all three platforms have lots of studios with lots of unannounced titles, so there could be a lot of information that we learn about over the coming months. But I kind of feel like we're not going to learn that much that's coming out in 2023. Maybe a couple, 2-3 titles across all the different consoles surprise us and then end up coming out this year. But I kind of feel like we generally know, the big titles that are going to be coming out from those platforms this year. So
and then also with we also are looking forward to see what they do in the live service game space, and also integrations with other apps. We know Discord's working with them to kind of have integration on the PS5. We know that they acquired Bungie for the live stuff to help them out with live service games and stuff like that. So even if it's not directly games, we're also excited for the other stuff that could come to PlayStation to just make it a better system.
Yeah, but similar to what I was saying before, I think that stuff's way out. Like that's
the Discord stuff. I think there's been rumors on the internet, and we're not big rumors people, so that's why we don't talk about them too much. But at least we know, since Xbox was able to put voice chat on Discord, a lot of people have been kind of like saying, where is it on PlayStation? And I know that Sony kind of wants to have a better full integration of Discord. And obviously with us gaming on PC a lot, and a lot of people kind of moving more towards PC, Discord has been a big part of that. Obviously we have a Discord, which we love being on there, and
thriving community.
Thriving community just keeps growing. I feel like that will be a big piece if they do manage to get the full integration into PlayStation, where it'll be the same as PC. I think it'll be a home run for them. Even if it's not a game, it's something that a lot of people will flock to.
Yeah. I think Discord gets solved much earlier. I was more talking about the live
service stuff.
And in terms of, with the idea being that they're going to extract the live service game know-how from Bungie and distribute that to their network of studio. Like that's gonna be a multi-year thing before I think we start really seeing the impact of that. I don't know. Maybe Last of Us. Maybe there's some knowledge transfer that occurred, but I feel like Naughty Dog has been working on that for a while.
And they've changed the strategy where now they don't want to announce things too early. So they definitely want to make sure when everything's good and ready to announce it, especially to help the developers be in a safe and good working environment. They're not, crunching and all that stuff. They definitely want to keep things close to the chest until they're ready. So, we still have high hopes for 2023 for Sony.
Yeah. The other, real quick, I just remembered the other hardware thing is the DualSense Edge controller, which should be coming out later this month, right?
In February.
February?
Yeah.
Okay, February.
Yeah. They did do a recent firmware update on the PlayStation to set that up. And adding to that, I just remembered as well, during CES at the beginning, a couple of weeks ago, they did announce a new peripheral. It's an accessibility controller where, obviously it's easier for
Leonardo.
people. Yeah, that looks pretty cool, and it's good for everybody just to be able to, if people who have issues with standard controllers, to be able to have something like that. So that's another peripheral. It's not for everybody, but it is for the ones that need it. So that's pretty good. All right. Then next we're going to talk about Microsoft. I have here they're lagging behind.
I mean the next two should be pretty quick, right?
Yeah. No. Well, I think that they might be longer just because we have more expectations out of them.
Yeah.
They're lagging behind. Obviously, they had a rough year last year with Halo. They had a rough year last year with the delay of Starfield, and just a lot of first-party games that were announced via the acquisitions of like. Cinemax and Bethesda, and with the delay of the Activision Blizzard acquisition, all that stuff, it's definitely put a hamper on their plans. Obviously, they're aiming for 2023 to be a big year for them. They just announced that on the 25th they're doing a big direct, like a Microsoft Direct, how Nintendo does, where they'll be showcasing Redfall, they'll be showcasing Elder Scrolls Online and Minecraft Legends, and hopefully some other stuff that they haven't announced yet. But they're looking to start off the year strong in a sense of showing their community, showing the gamers what they're offering early this year, and kind of getting them back on their side. They have been having these issues the last couple of years, just kind of showing people the games that they want to push. Obviously, with Game Pass, that's going strong for them. But the main thing that drives is the games that that's going to make them a profit. And I think Sony always does a good job of that, and that's where Microsoft's lagging behind. So hopefully this year they do a better job of communicating just everything in terms of when it's coming out, just show more footage, keep in touch with the community. That's where I see them where they could improve. Obviously it's going to be tough for them, especially if they don't have as many titles as the other competitors, but we'll see. What do you think on their end?
It's some pickings. It's Redfall and Starfield in terms of exclusive titles that I think are exciting, but I've also gone on record saying that I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah,
I think is the right term for Starfield.
I have you, and it's on the record from one of our episodes. Starfield's your big stinker, and it's moving on to 2023 because it was supposed to come out last year, but
and the trailer looks pretty rough. So yeah, there's just not a lot of titles, and I think it's really, for me, it's going to continue. It's going to be another year of Game Pass being the thing that I'm finding the most value in coming out of Xbox, which is kind of funny because it's basically like none of their games. It's just them packaging other games into the subscription offering, which I've still been enjoying. I'm playing more games that I probably otherwise wouldn't play. So for me, it's like, from my perspective, it's really another year of Game Pass. And
can I ask you something? Just especially, this is going to be your own take, but what just puts you off with Starfield so much? I mean, for me, I think it's too ambitious, and just from everything I've seen, it doesn't seem like a game that probably I will want to get into, especially because it looks like it's going to be a very time-consuming commitment, and I've never been a big fan of like Fallout and Skyrim and all that stuff. But what puts so much doubt in you?
It's a speculation. I think that studio was way ahead of the curve back when they were doing Oblivion and Skyrim. So I think they were really pushing the envelope in terms of open world RPGs. 15 years, however long ago that was. So I think there was a snapshot in time where they were ahead of the curve. I feel like the rest of the game dev market has just evolved, and they're either have been meeting or have already exceeded the level of quality that they've been doing. And then it's also just based on playing their games, where I feel like nothing really evolves. Most recently, Fallout 4. It was like okay. I didn't think it was as good as Fallout 3 or Skyrim or anything like that. So I kind of feel like they've stagnated as a development studio. I think them being stuck with I can't remember the name of the engine they use, but whatever the engine or technical infrastructure they're doing for development, I think is also kind of stuck in the past, and is maybe kind of like a headwind for them to match, I think, what some of the other studios are doing with open world games. So I think it's that. That's not what I want. Like
Yeah.
if you were to ask me, person playing Oblivion on Xbox, I'd be like, oh my god, I want exactly this, but sci-fi. You know, I think a lot of Bethesda fans have been clamoring for exactly this game. I want it to be this amazing thing, but I just have, I have some reservations, and I think the trailer footage was, didn't convince me that I was, wrong with that.
Well, no, I think that is one of the best valid points I've seen from anybody. Obviously, you have these other games like let's say for example Grand Theft Auto. And Grand Theft Auto, even though we had so many iterations of it, they do keep changing, they do keep improving, whether it's to the environment system, the interactions you have with NPCs, with 6, how you were able to control 3 different protagonists and do different things. So like, yeah, there's innovation in Grand Theft Auto, so I see where you're coming from in Starfield, where I can kind of see it, where not that there isn't innovation, but it just kind of looks the same to a 15-20-year-old game that they just keep repackaging. So yeah, there's a lot of
also I was like laughing at the gunplay in the trailer.
Yeah, the gunplay was bad. They've always been bad with gunplay because Fallout not good, and New Vegas was good, but everything else is kind of, it's very hard to get that gunplay mixed into an RPG. They're just trying to do too much, I think.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
We're obviously, as gamers, we hope everything's good, but we can only see when it comes out.
And I think there's another. What's not helping is they just have such high expectations. Like for whatever reason, they're in everyone's crosshairs.
Well, they put all their money on it. Like this is their thing. So if it fails, it's gonna suck.
Yeah. So they just have so much scrutiny and pressure of every game that they put out has to be the biggest game ever. I don't know exactly. I think maybe there was a situation where like 10 years ago, like that was kind of what they did, and now they just expect everything they do to be that. So there's probably a ton of pressure that they're dealing with. But I don't know. So hopefully that gives you some insight into my thinking around why this one might not be why this might not be the biggest game of the year.
No, definitely. I mean, if anybody's got money to burn, it's Microsoft, so they'll be all right.
Yeah.
And then the next one we have is Nintendo. I have on my notes, Nintendo is okay with 3rd place. Obviously, that's a little bit of a joke. We don't really see Nintendo in terms of the demographic and the games that they release and publish in the same categories as Sony and Microsoft, because they kind of go after the same market. Nintendo's always going to Nintendo. They're going to do their own thing. They will release their own games when they're ready. They will release the games that they want. Obviously, if you've been waiting for Metroid for years, they're not going to release it when you want it. They're going to do it when they want it.
Still waiting.
Yeah.
Metroid Prime 4.
So my outlook for Nintendo this year, obviously, I think it'll be a strong year for them. They have Zelda coming up in May, so obviously that's going to be crazy. Everybody's going to be getting in on that. They have Pikmin coming up, and I'm pretty sure they have a couple unannounced stuff that they're.
What do you mean strong year?
That's a strong year for Nintendo.
That's a joke.
Zelda Pikmin, wow.
That's a joke.
No,
it's one title.
It's a bit of a joke, but the thing with Nintendo is it's those hidden gems that you find within all the other stuff, because you can't obviously. They wouldn't be so successful if they were just banking on all their first-party titles, like Mario, the Mario franchises, or Zelda, or Kirby, or Yoshi, or whatever. They wouldn't be banking on that. It's everything else that gets released, whether it's like Ace Attorney or obviously Pokemon is their title as well, or just any other strange thing that comes out that people are like, okay, I'll buy this for the Switch or whatever. So I think they're always going to have a strong year. Obviously, it's early in the year, and they only really have these two first-party titles announced.
They have some other like small. I think there was like a Kirby game that you jokingly included.
It wasn't a joke, but okay. Yeah.
So they have other titles, but I think it very clearly Zelda. I think there's a cult following of Pikmin people that are really excited about Pikmin 4. I played the first, so I don't know if I played the third one, but I played the first two. Like they're fun games. I enjoy them. But other than that, they got nothing. So this is probably maybe one of the first episodes we ever did of this podcast where it's just like, when are they going to announce new hardware? Like they have to be announcing something. I think it's maybe at the end of this year.
Yeah, and I always think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And obviously the Switch, very popular console. I think just an improvement is fine. We have the Steam Deck, but honestly, you're still missing that Nintendo feel of it, where I want to be playing Nintendo games just at a better capacity and resolution and frame rate and all that stuff. So I'm down for a Switch upgrade.
Me too.
Yeah, so
I'm ready. I was ready 3 years ago.
yeah, and I honestly I think they're okay with like not announcing anything until the last moment. They got a couple tricks up their sleeve, man. It's early. It's early.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe this year Nintendo, Nick won't hate you as much as he does every year.
I don't know, man. Like it's just so painful trying to play games on that thing now.
It's just because you're too pampered by your Steam Deck.
Yeah, Steam Deck or basically every modern
Yeah.
console.
But never forget, Nintendo, the Switch held you down for a little bit because I know you were traveling for a while, and that was your go-to.
Yeah, when it first came out,
Yeah.
it was amazing. It was unbelievable. You're like, oh my, you can actually play real video games on portable devices now. But that was what, 8 years ago, or like, I don't even.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty long time ago.
So I think have high hopes. Whatever the.
So I get, I totally get their rationale from like a business perspective, where it says, hey, this thing just continues selling, so let's just ride this out until we actually need to get new hardware into the market. So I understand they don't care what I think, but that's one of the reasons why I'm just like not super excited about this year, other than Zelda, just because I've just moved on. I stopped buying games for the Switch many years ago, just because even though they've done a really good job with the Switch, having way more third-party titles and multi-platform releases on it, but the performance is always so bad, and Nintendo is basically the worst when it comes to digital stores, and you actually being able to play those games you purchase on other systems in the future. So I pretty much just stopped buying games for it, other than first-party titles, but those have been pretty few and far between from my perspective. So
yeah. Well,
just I'm ready. So I want more Nintendo first-party titles, but just on more modern hardware.
Yeah, they'll be all right. We're not their main demographic, but
yeah,
we're definitely a sucker for giving them some money sometime.
Yeah.
All right, and then the last one we want to do, obviously, PC gaming, being a new 1 year convert of PC.
Yeah, let's. I want to hear. Well, let's talk about what we talk about. I also want to hear about your experience becoming a
so PC
snob.
PC always surviving. They obviously get a lot of these whatever games are getting released. They always get them on PC, whether it's day one or whether it's a couple of months later. So they're always going to be there as a market. Obviously, I love my PC. I find myself playing it more and more than my PlayStation, and just kind of looking for deals. There's so many discounts all the time on games, so definitely that's a plus on it. So I'm sticking with it. What I like to see for the future of it, obviously hardware-wise, with VR or just monitors or anything like that, what can make it better? I have a nice 3080, which I'm happy with, and I think if I don't get a new GPU for 10 years, I think the 3080 will be just fine.
You're good. You're good for 5 years.
I think 5 years. Yeah. So that's a PC snob thing to say. Because I know people have 1080s and they're still good, right?
Yeah. I think you can stretch it out for sure. But I've kind of been on every 5 years.
Yeah.
I'll do a new thing.
And for me, being a new PC guy, I started with a 2070, which was already powerful, and then I was able to secure a 3080, so that was pretty good. And then now I have a 4K monitor, thanks to you, that rolls pretty good, looks pretty great, and it also works on the PS5, so I have, just everything's looking good for me. Now it's just a sense of like making it run really well and just maintaining it and having it continue to work and not giving me any issues, which it really hasn't. But in terms of games, we have Baldur's Gate 3, which is the only one that's kind of confirmed for PC only. Obviously, the GPU market kind of sucks with all those crypto nerds buying all of them out for a while.
Well, I think they got hosed.
Yeah. Ha.
So I think the market's correcting a bit, and there's people who follow the GPU market and are way smarter than us and test these things and do like performance benchmarks and all that. And I think the consensus is basically like don't buy any new GPU. the 3080 is kind of the sweet spot. So I feel good that I was able to get one of those around launch, and people still recommend that as being the good kind of, when you kind of compare price to performance, that being a good, relatively good value. It's still very expensive, but based on the performance you're getting from it, it's still a good buy. But yeah, I think going back to Baldur's Gate 3, I think that was more because again, we're trying to tease out things that are exclusive to each of these platforms. PC basically will get almost every multi-platform title out there, with the exception of basically Nintendo and I don't call it 50% of Sony PlayStation stuff, because they've started experimenting with PC releases. I think they'll keep some stuff PlayStation only, but I think increasingly they'll have more PC titles. But yeah, I think I was doing some research. I think it's really Baldur's Gate 3 you'll only be able to play it on PC, at least for in the foreseeable future. And I know that's a big title for a lot of people, myself included. So that's going to be a game that I play. But yeah, in terms of hardware, like there's not much. Like I may be in year 3 of my. So I think that was in 20. I was still living in New York.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So I think it was 2020. Yeah, I think so. I think I did basically like whenever the 3080 came out. So I think I'm in year 2 or year 3 of this gaming PC build, and I haven't really seen too much other interesting hardware stuff coming out this year. So I feel, which might be surprising for you to hear this, but I'm not planning on buying any PC components.
Whoa!
Yeah, I know.
It's too early to call.
Yeah, so maybe this is crazy, but I'm not planning on buying anything this year. I have heard some rumblings of maybe some monitor, so gaming monitors, those becoming more, I don't know if cheap is the right word, but maybe those becoming a little bit more price efficient and getting more technology into them. So maybe there's some cool monitors that come out this year, but I went crazy with monitors last year because I moved.
So many monitors.
I have I have one monitor that I need to get rid of. So I don't think the technology is going to be that much better to get me to buy so soon, another monitor. So
yeah, I think we're set for a couple of years.
So I think we're good. So we can that's great. You can just sit back and play some games.
Yeah, finally.
Love it.
Finally stop building that PC and just game on it.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because you did bring your PC over here for me to take a look at. So
we're always improving.
Yeah.
All right, so that does it for our State of the Game 2023. Obviously, there's a lot of things to look forward to for the year, a lot of unannounced things, a lot of announced things. If you guys have any idea of what you're looking forward to, or if you want to give us your thoughts on where everybody's at this point for all these companies, let us know on Discord. Yeah, it's a hub for you and us. The other thing we wanted to talk about was Ubisoft. Obviously, we were a little bit dismayed to hear that Skull and Bones got delayed yet again. It was on our list of...
You were dismayed?
Not really, but
I was going to say.
Well, I cry a little bit inside whenever there's
every game delay deserves a tear.
But yeah, Ubisoft just recently announced during an investor call that they canceled 3 games. That was in addition to 4 others that they had canceled in July. And then they also delayed Skull and Bones. Things aren't looking so well down over there. They're kind of scaling back in the amount of games they're making. Also, the franchises that they're releasing, where previously we would see Ubisoft kind of just like make so many games that we were like, why are you making these? But this does kind of put it does kind of shine a light on them in a sense of Skull and Bones. Really, we've been questioning this game since it got announced. It's just an they're releasing a full game based on a part of a regular game that they thought could work as a full game, which I still don't think it could. It's not like Portal where you got the mechanic and it's a short game or whatever, and it's been costing them in terms of just like the delays and the people working on it and affecting all the other studios and what they want to work. What are your thoughts on this? What do you think? How does this affect their future?
Well, I mean, part of me is like, are they going to just cancel this game at some point? Do you think it's
7 years,
you
man?
think it's,
So they can't really just cancel it.
it's too far into it? They
Yeah.
just got to release it. What I thought was interesting was they announced that they're delaying it, and then they immediately showed a trailer of it,
Yeah,
which literally made no sense. Like, you've just told everyone you're delaying it, and I'm curious if there's some PR, strategist out there that recommended that this is like the way to do it. But to me, I think it's a terrible time to unveil new gameplay footage because everyone's going to have the
memory of not being able to play it.
well, no, not that, but like they're just going to have like a very like laser focused on like what's wrong with the game because it was just announced that they're delaying it. So people are just going to have that like kind of bias towards the game as opposed to being excited about new footage. So I think the timing of the footage is very bad, and exactly that happened where people were watching the footage and like, what the hell is this? so yeah, I mean that's been a rough ride with Skull and Bones, and then I can't remember. So it's three titles were canceled. I think they were all unannounced.
Yeah, they were all unannounced,
Okay.
and then they had canceled 4 titles before, a couple Tom Clancy games, which they didn't specify, a Splinter Cell game, and then I forget what the 4th one was. But yeah, they had announced those 4 back in July. So it's just very weird time for them, especially with the work environment allegations that they were been fighting, a bunch of huge losses. I believe they reported like $530 million in losses, and just the state of all their big franchises. You don't know how they're doing with Assassin's Creed. They're kind of scaling back. They're not doing it yearly like they used to. Obviously, it'll probably make the game better, not having a yearly Assassin's Creed because it had become too saturated. And then their big franchises. Obviously, you have Rainbow Six Siege that's been doing well for them in the multiplayer market for a while in their online market. But they haven't really had a new Tom Clancy game. The Division is still kind of chugging along. And then I know there've been talks of a Splinter Cell remake or something like that. So it's just weird to see Ubisoft in this position where normally they're out there leading the charge in terms of new games, new experiences, and they're just kind of scaling back and they don't know what they're doing.
You hate to see it. I think this is a case study in a very large publisher overly emphasizing monetization-led games, monetization-led experiences as opposed to engagement-led experiences. So I mean, this is like exactly what happens, right? Where they're just like, we're chasing whatever the latest and greatest monetization model was, trying to shoehorn their IP to fit that, and it's just like very clearly like not working. And I do think compounded by that, just kind of a shift in their strategy was, COVID and needing to figure out new ways of producing games and developing games. And so, I think they keep insisting on that being a big thing. That's a problem for them. So I don't want to take that away from them, but I think that is impacting every game developer.
Yeah.
So, they
didn't handle it.
So that's a challenge everyone's facing. what everyone's not doing is taking their approach to how they're trying to like ship games and monetize them.
Yeah.
So
This is what not to do.
yeah. So yeah, and you know, I'm very much like, I think most gamers are more philosophically aligned with like, just make a great game, and then that's like very engaging, and then you can kind of figure out the you know, the best way to monetize that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they very clearly took that other route, and you can see it in the games. It's like there's literally no reason for there to be a new Assassin's Creed game every year.
I mean, the only reason I always thought there should be was because I wanted to see the different settings. But yeah, there shouldn't be. And they have so many people working on them too. Usually it's 200 to 300 people, and different. You have 3 or 4 studios that they work on different parts of the game. I know that was the case for Odyssey and Origins. Yeah, I know that was the case for those 2 games. So
yeah. Yeah, and I think also because of that, you know, that strategy, that's why you're not seeing any, you know, kind of cool, new, interesting games, maybe with a smaller budget. They've taken the, you know, it's giant games only. I think increasingly now it's going to be giant live service games only. That's not.
I mean, hopefully this doesn't take away from their innovative side, because I know they always, especially during E3, they would show off some like funky, weird game mechanic or something like that, and they were one of the first ones to kind of dive deep into cloud gaming with Assassin's Creed and Google. So you know, hopefully this doesn't take away from the innovative side. And
well, that's because I don't think they were leading that. I think Google said, "Hey, we will give you an assload of money to port your titles," and they're like, "Yeah, we need that."
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like to get it running on the Switch and stuff like that, and then also, like I said, if I remember correctly, like they had something that was like amiibos at one of their E3 press conferences and stuff like that. They always came up with some weird. They had like a laser tag gun thing too, so hopefully that doesn't take that spirit away, but. We'll keep you guys up.
It already has. It's gone.
Or they might just get sold or bought out, and that is a possibility for them.
Yeah, I don't know.
But we'll keep you guys updated, and now it kind of makes me want to try Skull and Bones a little bit,
Maybe.
All right, so that does it for the topics that we want to discuss, and we're gonna move on straight into some closing thoughts. I'll start it off. I've been watching The Witch from Mercury. And what is that, you ask?
I was going to ask that.
It's a new Gundam show. So obviously, big fans of Gundam. I'm a big fan of Gundam. I have a couple at home that I've built. It's a new series since, I believe, Iron-Blooded Orphans, which was the last mainline Gundam story that I believe was 7 years ago. This one is also the first one to star a female protagonist. And they had a prologue, and then they had the 12 episodes, which just ended last week. And the setting for the show was a little bit different than every normal show, because obviously with Gundam, it deals with basically, you know, these kids using these Gundam suits and just fighting, and it's always a war, the Earth versus the colonies or whatever like that. But this one was kind of different because it kind of focused on like a school life thing where it's a bunch of kids in school and they do Gundam battles, but they're not like tragic battles where they're destroying each other. It's like if you cut off the antenna of the Gundam, you win. So it's like just mock battles basically. So you don't see in all the episodes really a lot of violence like Gundam is usually known for, until, no spoilers here, but until the last episode. And there was a lot of heavy violence in the prologue. So a lot of people, especially reviewing these episodes as they went along, were kind of like concerned, just because they didn't see it as a normal Gundam show with all the adult themes that they deal with. But the last episode kind of brought it back full circle in terms of relating back to Gundam. I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's definitely a good show. I think it's one of the best ones they've had in years. The Gundams are great, the storylines are great, and you see that violence. I mean, the mecha robots that you're fighting in, obviously there's going to be a lot of violence, and it's very bloody. So
Really?
so I would say it's a short 12 episode show.
Is it kind of their version of what Persona does with Shin Megami, where it's very focused on, it's like school and
A little bit
social,
like that, yeah,
like,
yeah. Just at least the first 11 episodes, because it's all a school thing, and you're meeting all these new characters. But then on the 12th episode, you see the war that they're fighting, and obviously the conflicts that all the main characters have, and it got bloody. So I would definitely recommend watching it. Season 2 is coming out in April, so it's a pretty quick short series to watch. Check it out. And on the heels of that, I also watched the first episode of Trigun Stampede. I don't know if you ever watched it.
Oh yeah, I saw the trailer for that. Is it good?
It's good.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that because I actually really like the Trigun anime. That was back when I was
in Toonami
getting
right?
like, I mean, was that the 90s? No, that wasn't the 90s.
Like
was
early
it?
2000s.
It was like late 90s or
late
2000s?
90s,
Okay,
early 2000s. I've always been a big fan of Trigun. Toonami was my thing. I love Cowboy Bebop, Trigun, and Outlaw Star. Those were like, whenever they would do the reruns on those, I was always watching them. I was a little bit hesitant just because of the art style for the new one. It is a kind of 3D CG art. And I know a lot of them haven't really gotten good reviews. We know the Berserk series wasn't
Oh my God, yeah.
wasn't really lauded for their 3D CG, but I think it does a great job of the art style for it. And it's a different story. I mean, it's the same Trigun story, but it's done differently. There's a couple of characters that aren't there that were there on the original one. But I enjoyed it, so I'm gonna keep watching it. They just announced that Johnny Young Bosch, who was the original voice actor, formerly a Black Ranger in Power Rangers, he's coming back to do the dub. So that's gonna be pretty cool. So exciting stuff.
Oh, so it's not currently dubbed. It's in
it's only in Japanese, but they're doing the dub. I believe
cool.
in like a week or two. So they'll be doing like a simulcast.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just like a 1 or 2 week delay.
Yeah, I was wondering because I saw that announcement and I'm like, wait, I thought the show was out already.
No, yeah. The show's out, but the dub is not out.
Got it.
So for those that want the dub, just give it a couple weeks and it'll be released. But for those that don't mind reading some subtitles, check it out on Crunchyroll, man.
I think I gotta wait for the dub, not because it was like a necessarily a good dub, but it was more like nostalgia reasons.
Just to get the voice back. Yeah. But yeah, those are the two things on my end in terms of anime. In terms of a movie, I did see, and this is hilarious, The Banshees of Inisherin. It's Colin Farrell. I forget the guy's first name. I think it's Liam Gleeson, who's another guy that he's worked with a lot. Barry O'Keegan from Batman, who's supposed to be the new Joker and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
It's a dark comedy set in like during the Irish War against England, but it focuses on just two guys that are friends, and then one guy decides he doesn't want to be friends with the other guy anymore, and he tells him, "If you keep bothering me, I'm going to cut my fingers off." Spoiler: he starts cutting his fingers off. But it's a very funny dark comedy, kind of like, it's just weird. You should watch it. I think I enjoyed it. I watched it a week and a half ago. I forgot to say it, but it was a dark comedy.
This is a movie?
It's a movie, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, nice little Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell, he's one of our greatest treasures.
Yeah, he's great. In theaters still, or
HBO Max.
HBO Max.
Yeah,
okay.
so check it out there.
All right.
And then in terms of gaming, I started playing Evil West again, finishing it up. I stopped playing it towards the end, and I was like, let me get back on it. And then just playing a little bit of Fortnite as well. And that's also going to be another goal of mine, to kind of finish the games that I left at the end. So I got Evil West I got to finish. I got Scarlet Nexus. I got to do the male side of the story. And then I got the Last Tales game, which I also left at the end. What is up with me just kind of playing these games and not finishing?
I mean, I've been doing that my entire life.
Yeah,
so
I gotta get better.
It's the same. It's like not Evil West, because I haven't started it, but the Tales game and Scarlet Nexus.
Yeah, and then eventually Death Stranding. I also got
Death Stranding, Final
yeah.
Fantasy X, Final Fantasy 12. I think there's other stuff, but
the good thing is the holiday weekend, so
there you go. You think I can beat 7 games
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No
All
problem.
right.
You know. What about you?
Cool.
What you been up to? What are your closing thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think I've watched anything. So I'm gonna
Whoa.
use your. I still haven't watched Andor, so I know that's on my list of things to
Oh my
watch.
god, such a loser.
I might watch the like. So well, Trigon only has one episode out.
Only one episode.
Okay, okay. So, well, I'm gonna wait on that anyway. I want to wait for the dub. So, I might check out the Gundam series because that sounds pretty cool.
Pretty good.
But either way, I haven't watched any TV or movies. From a games perspective, it's really been the same old, a little bit of Fortnite, Final Fantasy 14, Rocket League. The only single player game that I've been doing is, which I think I mentioned in last week's episode, I can't remember, but Crisis Core.
Yeah. A little bit on that.
Yeah. So I think I'm almost done with it.
Well, short game.
Yeah, I think it's pretty short, and it's also, which I'm okay with, but I feel like this could be a big turnoff for people. But it has a similar setup to maybe the Neo games, where you have like a main kind of quest, but then you have all these like side missions.
Gotcha. And you just replay kind of the areas, right?
Yeah, it's like, I don't even know if it's the same area, but it's just, they basically look the same. It's just kind of these, whatever. It's like, there's like 3 or 4 different flavors of levels, but that's pretty much it. But it's that type of structure. And what I didn't, so I never played this game on PSP, and I didn't really, do any research about like the best way to play the game, but I just started pounding all of the side quests, all the missions. Like, they give you so many, and I was just like, all right, like,
I feel like that's how we play games. Like, if a side mission pops up, we'll do the side mission before we get back to the main.
But
mission.
now I'm
overpowered,
so cosmically overpowered.
Nice.
Like, it's like not even funny. Like, every battle, even bosses, I'm like one shot in the main story. So it's, which I, again, for this game, I think I'm actually okay with that, because it's more just kind of the story and all that. So I kind of, by mistake, made this game very easy for myself. Maybe it picks up in difficulty later, but
that's a good way to go through it, though. So, like, obviously you're experiencing it, but you're One Punch Man in this.
Yeah, I'm just spamming like Quake, or there's like a few skills that basically just like wreck everyone if you're at a certain level. So, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So I should be able to wrap that one up soon.
Yeah.
And then I got to figure out what's next. I forgot what they called it, but PlayStation sent you your like year in review,
your wrap up.
or
Yeah,
wrap.
everybody did that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think basically every platform does a version of that now. What was funny to me was, I think the only game I played last year, other than a little bit of God of War, was Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, nice.
So I think that was the only game I played on PlayStation 5. Like, I played, and my Steam, year in review was like crazy, just all sorts of stuff. So
we might have to put these up on Discord.
Yeah, maybe. But then what was funny is, like, that reminded me, like, oh yeah, I got to beat Ghost of Tsushima, because I only got like maybe So it's bad. So there's a lot of games coming out in the first half of this year, but I think for me the main event is in June.
Yeah.
Where we get Final Fantasy 16 and Street Fighter. So I'm just trying to be as focused. Just be as focused as I can, actually completing games.
Yeah. And there might be some surprises in there, because we never know what could be a big hit that we want to play.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, I also forgot I played One Piece Odyssey, the demo. That was really fun. It was out on PlayStation, the demo. Unfortunately, no demos on PC. But check that out. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. So might pick up the game later on down the road when it's on the bargain bin.
Yeah, I think it looks cool. If I was more into One Piece, maybe I would have bought it at launch, just because it more or less looks like Dragon Quest XI, which is one of my favorite games, and I'm cool with more of that. But yeah, based on what I'm seeing in terms of reviews and impressions, I'll probably just wait for that to be bargain bin or Game Pass. And maybe I'll try to get through some of the anime.
We'll see. We'll see.
That's a big commitment there, right?
Well, the plans for the weekend are finish some games and watch The Last of Us. Last of Us comes out tomorrow, Sunday. So super excited for that. It's been getting great reviews. So super excited for that. Maybe this show you will actually see.
I'm gonna watch it. Yeah. I'll watch that. I guarantee I'll like it more than the game. So.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're also fixing your PC.
Yeah, PC fixing stuff. Look at this. It's a busy weekend.
Yeah.
It's a good weekend because it's a holiday too, so we have so much time. All right. Well, that does it for episode 48 of Pressing Buttons. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Later.